and feel safe crossing the streets. Gary, get Bongolio a light. Yeah, sure. Life with a bonger. Boom, boom, big bong. 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 Hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Your wheelchair access really blows. Hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. Can't buy beans, can't buy potatoes, can't buy greens, can't buy tomatoes. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy lambs, can't buy hogs, can't buy rams, can't buy dogs. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy chicken, can't buy socks, I can't buy whiskey, can't buy Crocs. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy switchers, can't buy sweets, I can't buy chips on my energy drinks. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Your wheelchair access really blows. Hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. Can't buy yogurt, can't buy smokes, can't buy mustard, can't buy cokes. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy sneakers, can't buy Figo, can't buy strings, can't buy mayo. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy beer, can't buy cheese, can't buy munchies or green teas. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Can't buy soap, I can't buy rags, can't buy jimmies and I can't buy bags. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Your wheelchair access really blows. Hey, hey, ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go.
Man, what was that?
I like it. Got the right amount of attitude, not too much.
There we go.
There's Wolf.
There's
Hey.
Wolf. How you doing, buddy?
Hi. Good. Relatively speaking, yeah. I'm living in like the best place I've lived in a lot of years, and don't feel homeless for the first time in a lot of years. So it's a really good feeling. Been smoking some of my favorite, currently mainstay variety and mainstay for the last 3 years. So that's been good. Have some thoughts on Schedule 3. I'd love to share on this show and on our need to unite. I never thought I would say this about anything, but we need to unite for the government to do what was actually in the words of Trump's executive order on rescheduling. Because as he described it, this was the feds would buy it on paper, add a little bit, and sell it back on paper. And the states would be getting to regulate it and under the supervision, the overwatch, if you will, of the FDA. And that was, it wasn't good. It wasn't normalization. It wasn't what we want all the way, but it did allow a path for almost universal access that didn't put it and won't put it in the hands of big pharma, large corporate commercial cannabis that can keep it at least sort of more local. And with that, jump off. Hi, everyone.
Howdy.
I love the way you dive in head first, man. It's like going to a pool party. And, gangway! You come flying in and, dive right in.
Cannonball.
I love it. That's awesome. You make anybody else's job here not a piece of cake. We're along for your ride, man. That's pretty much it, for real. And how long since your new home
I already know what
situation?
I'm talking about. I want to learn from you guys.
Yeah. So,
But-
but first, I want a little more. How long have you been kind of like a home now? You feel. How long has that been? You talk about it in a month or a couple of months, a few months, or
Okay,
It's been a while.
we have been here since the middle of February. We have been without a place that felt like home, where we were on top of. Well, I mean, there's a difference between couch surfing and being a renter. It feels very different. It's like one, you're sort of there at the absolute grace of your guest or your host by the rules of courtesy as I follow. And the other, you have a vested interest because you've bought it, but that's, and you're paying to have those privileges.
Come here,
And I mean,
Mimi.
it's purely psychological, but it feels like home. It's when I walk out, when I walk the dog every morning. We've got like this wonderful loop. I walk downhill or uphill. Either way, I can come back to here, and it's exactly a mile loop. There's turkeys, wild turkeys all over the place, and deer, and like when I drive back from town, it's like it's incredibly beautiful. There's one spot on the way back that it's like it almost makes me cry. It's so beautiful every freaking time I go by it. And uh, after 4.5 years of living in an industrial neighborhood in San Diego between a freeway and a main drag, literally no other streets but the block that was between there. I mean, my lungs actually are getting oxygen. It's new life. So yeah, I like where I am. It makes me happy to be here and
Well,
appreciative.
yeah, that's really good to hear. You deserve it.
And ironically, one of the first places I planted in 1971 when I was playing Michael Marijuana Seed was here in Grass Valley, or actually down on the turnoff to Grass Valley, down on I-80. They've gotten much more built up since 1971.
Hmm.
I mean, it was just a turnoff, and a road. I think it was 4-lane highway at that point. Not sure. The highway up to Reno, I-80. But where was it? That's God. I lost focus here.
No.
Yeah, I've been smoking the grandma peach pie with people who appreciated it, and it was fun. And it's what I love about it is that it's been my mainstay for 3 years, and I relax and feel better, and am a nicer person when all of which I'm sure my wife would agree with, when I have been smoking grandma's peach pie than when not. And I don't stop getting high on it every time. There hasn't been a point where I hit a ceiling with it. And that's one of the things I love about it.
Nice.
So yeah, it's and I mean that was sort of a lead into another thing I'm doing, which is I have a plant called Vayaputri. Vayaputri is Sanskrit for daughter of the wind gods. Grandma's peach pie, as I said, has been my mainstay. I've grown it now 3 years in a row, or this will be my third year. No, I grew it 3 years. This will be the fourth year. But no, it was 3 years. It was 3 years. And in 24 there were 18 seeds, and I picked through. I picked through a little better than a case of Or let me hang on a second. Box, box, case, package, rack, someplace in there. Um, I picked through a lot of poundage and found these seeds and didn't see a single, not one male flower. And I looked. I mean, I know what to look for. It's been a minute, and there was nothing. Now, given that this was in an industrial neighborhood in San Diego, it's a pretty safe bet no one was growing hemp right around there. So it was definitely probably a high THC parent. The only question in my mind is, was it a herm or was it a legitimate male? And if it was a legitimate male, hopefully it was an improvement or at least a good patch for the existing genetic. Um, Either way, I decided that there would be, I was going to name it Daughter of the Wind Gods, and then sort of decided, well, am I going to do that in Spanish because it's San Diego and sort of fitting, or in Lakota if I can find out from a friend how and how I would say that the right way, um, or Hindu. And I thought about it, and since they are, as far as I know, the oldest cannabis culture, I decided to, look it up. And Vaya Putri is the daughter of the wind gods, or wind god, and the wind god Vaya, as described in what I found on Google, which may or may not be real, was the description sounded like Vaya is an embodiment of what in the Hindu thing is prana, and in the Hebrew thing is aleph, and in the Chinese and Oriental thing is ki or chi, and with Wilhelm Reich was orgone. So it sounded like that, like an avatar of that. So it seemed particularly appropriate, and that's why it's Vaya Putri. But now back to the important stuff.
Or this is very an entertaining way of, well, in my case, educating me, because anything you're going to talk about, mostly, if not education, a really worthwhile anecdote from decades past, perhaps, so you kind of own the floor here, as far as I can tell. Shake your head. Come on, we can all shake our heads. Yeah.
Well, except that I'm working on being a polite and proper human being. So, would you guys please tell me what's going on back there? What are you guys doing about Schedule 3, or at least something that will be more moving us in a forward direction?
I would suggest Sue having a response, because I get a lot of my information through other people, and particularly her on rescheduling, descheduling, whatever. I don't know what to think exactly myself. I've kind of been moving around on it. So, Sue, can we defer to you to
pretty please
give Wolf a reflection? Is that like no in Zoom speak?
Yes.
Well, I don't know where it sits, even when I'm told where it sits by somebody who should know, say from the federal government. But things changed. Things really weren't meant, maybe you're supposed to assimilate. Here's where we change. I don't know, So I kind of take my lead from what other people say, And there are variations, and not of really differing opinions, overlapping opinions. It's very hard to figure out.
Not a soup till you put everything in it.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like I want to know, and I love everybody's viewpoint, because none of it's born of shit. It's like there's things are simultaneous in certain opinions, and then there's like ripple effects that are different from this to that. I'm not as capable of understanding as a lot of people. I can only hold so much direction in like that, but it's basically from other people's opinions, that I have any idea of what I feel on it. Yeah, I would like it if it were descheduled, but I'd like it to not stay where it is. All right, that's like the two ends of my track of thinking.
Okay.
And yeah, descheduling, and I don't know what Schedule 5 is, but that sounds pretty cool too. But then the difference between 2 and 3, it's sort of like they both scare me, for different reasons. And I guess they're both better than 1 for the same reasons. And then I don't know if isn't there a way this could be like is there a mid diving board where you go out, you hit it and say, the ceiling didn't go good. And
that's kind of what I'm talking about, is about how for once Trump really I did not believe I would ever say anything about get behind Trump on something, but read the wording of his executive order. The DEA is overreaching radically. And the only way we can stand against that is if everyone that's serious about medicinal cannabis gets together and presents a united front saying, hey, this is what the president said. You're saying his word goes on all that other shit? Well, then step out of the way. Because it is possible under Schedule 3 to make it almost universally available and still be, all it takes is waiving one administrative rule that they have in fact waived before, and that's they cannot currently, according to this technical rule, charge a fee from a study subject, an administrative fee. If you add that in, you have the path to monetization, and that's what this corrupt fucking system, pardon me, needs.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what it's saying right now is just FDA approved for Schedule 3. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you. I'm trying to what the DEA, right? The FDA has said these are the things that it's going to have to comply with. The DEA has sent out all these applications and shit, like they intend to enforce this set of federal regulations that are exactly what is not supposed to be applying to medicinal.
Right. So it's only going to be FDA approved medications that are going to be Schedule 3 for right now anyway. I don't know what's going to happen after June 29th. Now, this is the interpretation I've been given. Okay, so we're only talking about what Big Pharma has put out.
Right.
Wait. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Okay. And then we go from there. Okay, so anytime anything is scheduled, right? Doctors have DEA licenses, right? They have to be licensed by the DEA in order to write for anything. Okay. And there's a lot of other funky drugs in Schedule 3. But we're not talking about the medicinal cannabis that we like to use. We're talking about FDA approved products that are already out there. Marinol. What's the other one? Epidiolex.
Drobenol.
Yeah, that's it. It's not everything else.
And what I'm saying is that if you read the executive order, right? I know, again, this is like third time, nothing else that I can think of could I say I absolutely support Trump on this. But he said, read the words of his order, okay? And if we're having to, if we have a court that's basically saying, yeah, the president said it, so therefore it is, then we actually have a piece of legal leverage, because what he described was the states, or excuse me, the feds buying the products and selling it back, and that's not what's going on. So what the FDA is doing is not compliant with what their boss has said they need to do. So what's needed is to start a petition for writ of mandamus filed in the state, or not in the state, in the District of Columbia, requiring that the FDA comply with that executive order from the president. That would be the first thing. I mean, if I was a lawyer, I would probably try to do that. I'm not. I'm just a jailhouse lawyer.
My, my
There is potential there. If they waive that rule, if the FDA would allow the study, and I think that you would find that Terrence Boos, the guy at the DEA who runs the diversion division and would be the boots on the ground that medicinal cannabis would be dealing with, is not opposed to that kind of format.
But not all medicinal cannabis is FDA approved.
That's correct.
and
Right.
you know,
And in order to find what we want, one of the things we need is a research collaborative that is licensed under a DEA 225 through a DEA 225 license holder to be doing research into how epigenetic factors influence chemotypic expression in known genotypes of cannabis. At that point, we have to have thousands of different varieties being grown thousands of different ways, being given to patients who have voluntarily given up enough freedom that we know where they are genetically and what their biochemistry is. If they want to be able to legally be a registered patient and part of the study that would advance this and would allow, basically, it's the genetics are irrelevant. The chemicals that are in the plant are what's important. If we know what's there, if we're testing it and we're collecting that data for all of the different genetic types and biochemistries with all of the different varieties that are out there, systematically collecting that data and data crawling it so that we can actually go, well, according to this, of the 30,000 responses that patients have given by way of their VR codes in order to re-up for another sample to be distributed to them, they will so they answer 20 questions, check or circle numbers, no essay questions, pretty easy to answer. And as these answers come in, it goes to a relational database. Pretty soon it's broken out into, there are, for the people who suffer from hyperspasticity, there are X number of conditions that can cause hyperspasticity. Of the people who have this condition, these are the groups that it's breaking out into genetically and biochemically. And they say that these three ranges of cannabis chemical constituent compounds seem to provide what it is they need. Because right now, allopathic medicine does not have a way to do research on multimolecular therapeutics, and will not until they do something like this.
But don't you see where this is going? Trump now has his own pharmacy. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So you see that. Okay. We're
The only way you move a mule is put food in front of it or hit it with a club, and we don't have a big enough club.
What is that? What's a Trump pharmacy?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Trump's pharmacy, where supposedly what he says.
Trump RX or something. Yeah.
Trump
Yeah.
RX. Okay. Yeah. So supposedly what he says is that his medicines will be discounted, but so far what people have seen, they are not.
A year ago, he sold
Knocked
vodka.
over with a feather, I mean, the
Right.
things he said aren't panning out. See, my problem is, sometimes it's that he changes his mind. Sometimes
He lies.
that he
Right.
There it is.
that he reacts. Sometimes he's out and out lying. in some cases, he could be lying about something and end up accidentally helping something, but it almost never stays the same. Something changes, a date,
Right.
a way of wording. So
Mhm.
what I like about the conversations, seeing things from different directions, is you can't tell what direction it's really going to come at. And it's weird. You can look at it like how it can do the most good, and then yet I seem to look at it, what would scare me the most. In other words, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, start out, I don't want that. Do I have to give out the best thing that could happen to get it? Yeah. Okay, it's like voting in the Olympics. Throw out the lowest, throw out the highest, and you average the rest. It's to me, being in the middle of the top good to bad that could happen for a cannabis issue, being at 50% is better than we almost ever do in whether we can get something or we regress. And then, when there is success, there's going to be a pushback or something. And, we do have a president that kind of blows in the wind. But I got to say, I agree and feel what you're saying, Wolf, that I've also had a hard time forming words and getting them to actually come out of my mouth that have anything to do with, and it's like, so I take a page from Republicans' book. It's like, yeah, he had a good idea. He stole it from somebody else, though. Yeah, that's how you give credit. That's how traditionally I see Republicans giving credit to Democrats. Oh, yeah, I'm glad he stole Ronald Reagan's idea. Good for him. That was a great thing. And I'm a big proponent, though, as Kathy will say, and it's funny having to do with Trump, it's you have to be able to say something good about somebody, or at least something giving them credit, a stipulation right from the beginning. And I'll give you, with our president, it's a really advanced ball game trying to do that,
Oh no, there's two or three that are easy. He's proven once and for all that anyone can be president of the United States.
That's crossed my mind.
He's proven that you don't have to be poor to be trash.
And proven, watch out what you wish for. You may regret it. Because if we were wishing for somebody who was kind of an everyday, and somebody that would rise up and wasn't like anybody else, it's like that poor joke. A guy's got one arm that's just swinging around in the breeze, and he goes, "Doc, why can't I just have two arms the same?" And then they're both swinging around in the breeze,
Yeah.
Or the genie that gives you three wishes. You know how it always works out.
Yep.
But I do like one thing in particular. It's not stagnant now. The time, I don't have to tell anybody here how long it can stay stagnant in the past, And I remember it blew me away 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whenever, that the DEA had not responded in 2 years, and there was nothing anybody could do about it. Are you shitting me? That's how the rules are set up, that in this negotiation that's been going on forever, that yes, we're still figuring that one out. That's when I
Okay,
felt
so here's where we stand now is that, okay, so there's going to be this meeting of the minds on June 29th. And we will not hear anything about that until next year. So a lot of things could change,
Yeah, that could. Yeah.
Well,
I don't believe a thing he says. I don't know about like the way that, Jim, that you're saying that he may have mistakenly said something that sounded correct, but he doesn't know anything. But that's beside the point, but what I do agree with what Wolf said about, at first when I read everything, it sounded like, oh, I guess the DEA is going to be our dealer, right? But that's not the case. How it stands right now with Schedule 3, they have right now only supports big business and big pharma. It does not support the people.
absolutely correct.
Okay.
Which is why this
they
loophole.
they get to the big business gets to write off stuff now, you know? I mean, that's what they've been wanting, you know, the 280E. You know, they want to, you know, like any other business, they want to write their shit off.
My grandfather of blessed memory taught me that if you want someone to go someplace, show them how that's where they want to be. And I think we can still do that. I think that the potential for monetization of medical data, by monetization, I mean, how much do you think big pharma, large companies are going to pay to not go down dead ends? The studies seem to indicate here's what it takes for you to be in on this database if you're not a doctor or a patient. It costs X amount per year. And then you have access to not the patient's data, but the results. This is what the mixes that you're going to want to look at in terms of treating conditions. I mean, about, I don't know, it must be now 2009. Big Mike from Advanced, who is like a classic example of all kinds of things, but said to me that if someone came up with a product that helped people sleep and a product that cured baldness that came from cannabis, it would be legal, straight up, because of the dollars involved. It's there. We can find them. We can, we can dangle that as the carrot that just as the fascists dangled the Roe v. Wade thing in front of the churchers, excuse me, the people who listen to their pastors about how they should vote as opposed to think about it. Use it the way we can lead to a better, more normal view of cannabis and a better treatment of patients. And until it's internationally legal, we have to do that. A country can only be as good as its word, just like a person. And we need to start with the Indians, with the First Nations folk, with every time we get into and make a commitment as people, we're less when we don't honor them. The same is true of nations. So we need to either withdraw and come back in without that condition, right? Like abrogate our position, which I hear there's political reasons against, but personally, I think it would be a great idea. Oh man, I just realized I'm spacing out here. Sorry about that.
Again,
Okay.
oh no, somebody's spacing out on a Sativa Cross podcast. The horror.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to totally edit that out somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Well. But going back to this idea, if we're collecting this data and we've got genetically sequenced cannabis and we're keeping track of all the inputs, all of the methodologies, and we're finding through proper not for profit testing that I would put it in the university's chemistry departments for advanced chemistry students to bring in some more funding for the universities. And yeah, there's so many things we could do. If we did that, we would be advancing the state of knowledge of cannabinoidal therapeutics by, at the current rate, decades every year.
Yeah, that's kind of the tasty part for me too. That the rules of the game prevented studies that
But
would
not
be
if they not if they let the DEA and the FDA ruin it. They have to do it the way Trump said it should be. Again,
but
I
that's not gonna
cannot
happen.
help but say that.
yeah. Well,
It's like it hurts. It makes my stomach turn
yeah,
to
see
say
that
that.
yeah. Then don't do it to where it makes your stomach
Yeah.
churn, because I can't change my vote. I don't have
Yeah.
one. What's
Yeah.
going to happen is going to happen, and when we need you with a non-churned stomach, Wolf. It's
Yeah.
unnecessary. I like I say, I get so much, and then sometimes I nod my head or I start going like this sometimes.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm giving my fucking tail. Oh, my tail's here. I shouldn't be doing that.
It looks like TerraSend had to give back 8.3 million in interest plus interest to the Justice Department for an erroneous tax return because they amended the
Who? What? Intern? What?
TerraSend. TerraSend has to
Oh,
give.
Parasend.
Yeah, the 280E didn't work for them apparently.
Okay.
Ouch.
That's some news. Yeah.
I
Terra,
think I saw that.
they're not.
What's the news
Where
like?
is TerraSend out of?
Let's see.
Bootin.
TerraSend USA, New
Little more-
Jersey, New Jersey-based cannabis multi-state operator. Yeah.
That figures. Freaking Jersey.
It's up in
I'm not
Boonton.
sure, but I think it's remotely possible that my indictment and the prosecute and the assistant United States attorney's reference to what I was doing might be the first time they referred to it as a multi-state. They called it a multi-state network of extremely sophisticated indoor marijuana grow operations. That was in '89 in Green Merchant. So find me an indictment that's sooner than that says that. I don't want that particular honor. Thank you much.
Yeah, that whole Operation Green Merchant thing, that's just, you know, and being that close to it, I mean, making a purchase that I did get
Yeah.
for UPS or whatever it was. But it was about 6 months before they began Operation Green Merchant or whatever they were turning
Yeah.
over. Didn't date back. But then when that became a known thing, that increased the value of what I had so that when I sold it, I got, the same amount that I paid for it. And I used it for a couple of years, so
Cool.
Operation Green Merchant, I lined my pockets with it. Yeah. No, that sucked, man.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, well, I know that, what do you call it? That 13 and a half year part of your life that kind of sits outside all the rest,
Yeah, I refer to it as my involuntary sabbatical.
Okay, that's good.
And if I had been smarter than I am, it would have been the time that I used to do more writing than what I've done. Because there's some stuff I'm working on. I'm working on a book about growing sustainably, and it's mainly intended for home growers, which I hope you guys in New Jersey will be joining the ranks of sometime. Likewise up in Washington.
Yeah.
Before we die, sometime before we die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
2nd
I
of
mean
February.
I say that because when they decriminalized cannabis in '73 in Oregon, I was absolutely sure we were within 5 years of full normalization.
Yep. Yeah, that was a period even in New Jersey where if you had obviously less than an ounce or 25 grams, it depends who you'd listen to, you just had it taken away. There was a period where I had it taken away regularly in Point Pleasant. As a matter of fact, we get stopped. I think they were probably smoking it themselves, But it didn't last long, It was that it was going to be legal in 5 years or whatever. And yeah, I remember one time standing on the steps of the Albany State House, exhorting to young people. Yeah, we treated it like it was a spectator sport. It's going to be legal. Here, we're on our way. It's going to be legal. We didn't push it through. We just sort of all of a sudden, just say no. What? Just say no. And it hit like a brick wall. We weren't pushing. And I only did that because you can really get young people to listen to you when you real quick say, we screwed up, man. We could have done better. We missed a knockout punch. We're doing the touchdown dance before the touchdown, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, well, Anyway, yeah, I just hope people can get a little more together. One thing I posted it, when I came across it, what I had to say was it 14 years ago, and Lafayette Park there for the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, marking the 40th year of the anniversary of the war on drugs. And it was I was telling them, that I think we who had been doing this longer we're not doing it right. Like if it was a real war, as I watched myself say for the first time since then, if it was a real war, everybody kind of unites and they go together. They know they got a common goal and they go together stronger for it, even more synergistic for it. And then I said to them, there's no secret to anybody here. There are groups that are not working with each other, which was MPP and Normal, notably, not getting things done, dividing it up like it was a freaking pie, So yeah, I guess out of all this, maybe we'll start to figure out with how they make their moves. We'll have a clearer picture to see which way, and I think it's somewhere in between what you're talking about here, and to see how it starts to work out. But wouldn't that be the time that really it would be easier now that they've made a move to see if we can tighten up a direction for more people going the same way. I've always said it's like cats and dogs. Cannabis consumers are more like cats, and it used to be Democrats and Republicans were more like dogs. They herded together, and cats are all over the place, So I'm just hoping maybe it gets a little clearer, but
It's not clear. It's really not that clear right now. It's not.
I know. Yes, but
and it's none of our fault. Like, we are understanding what we're understanding, and again, we're not going to see any movement. Again, this was another distraction. Yes, the big business and big pharma want their feet in the pool, and they'll get it. They'll get it.
Yeah,
but it's not going to go as far as we want yet, unless we do all band together and say, this is how we want it. It's this way. Or not.
Earlier when Wolf mentioned the distraction division, I forget, but it's sort of division of distraction or something.
The diversion division.
Diversion division. Yeah. I was thinking in terms of the distraction is the diversion division. I mean, they can all the DD Office of Divert. Where basically
the Ministry of Information.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought they should have a new the Department of Blame, because it's sort of like when one gets worn out, you really need one kind of plan, or at least a couple to choose from. And you go through a triage of all the different things and people you could blame it on. Throw Biden out, he's done. No more of that. That didn't work. That just pisses people off. It's just an amazing, embarrassing display.
Except that even that would be better than what we have, because who we have can't admit he was wrong about anything, apparently. So let's use that. The dude said that it's going to be a particular way. If all of us unitedly call for it to be the way he said it would be, remember, this is a man who's desperate to drive his popularity points up because his ego is sort of getting a little bit of a bruising at this point. He knows on some level I
agree, but
but he chose his words carefully, because if you recall what he said, approved medicinal cannabis, okay, approved medicinal, whatever he wants to call it, but approved, who approved it? He's what he and what his regime is doing right now. This is all opposition research. That's all. Let's throw this out to the masses. Let's see what they got to say about it. Let's see what kind of pushback we're going to get. The big businesses are what pays him, not us. You know, he just steals from us. We don't have that much to give. But
You know about the watches, right?
yes, I do.
Yeah, Trump watches. Everyone that bought
Mhm.
one a year ago gave $100
Never,
deposit. It's
right.
like
Oh,
And they never
46
got their
million,
watches, right?
and
Yeah.
they haven't gotten their watches, and they
man,
don't hear anything
Nope.
from them.
No,
that's
I know.
amazing. And you know, it's amazing that in the end, it really won't matter. It's another in the long list. But
Yeah.
this one, it was more bold than some of them. You know, it was, I mean, so out in the open. I was laughing from the beginning, you know, and
Well, his polls are in the, they're in the gutter right now.
Right.
So
So what can he do? If he can do something that's going to pick him up a little, throwing this
he's
out
good.
there,
He's right.
hold him to it. Get all of the national medicinal cannabis advocate groups together saying, "Hey, Mr. President, we agree with you on this. You are right. Let the states regulate it as they have been. This is your moment to shine, Mr. President. We're so grateful for your brilliance, Mr. President."
oh yeah, you got to do it like that. But he's
And
also
I will
he's
kiss his
like
ass in Washington Square on national TV if he would just order it done and be done with it.
yeah, he's like a guy like a parachutist whose parachute is tangled, meaning he's descending fast. He's not sleeping. He's not in good health. He's old. He's doing shit in the middle of
Sundowning.
the night and sleeping. That's happening, and it's accelerating. So the ground's coming up quicker than he's seeing it come up. And at some point, you know, the course is set, and you know, who the hell knows what's going to happen. But in the meantime, it would be nice to get a push that things are moderately not imploding by the 29th of June, because I'm just curious to see if one date actually gets held for something where it doesn't well, we're kicking that down the road. You know, just that it gets kicked on the 29th and see where it lands.
In rem forfeiture on
get
adult
kicked.
use.
It's going to get kicked, and then they all go out for the 250th anniversary. And again, I'm going to tell you that I know this from
End of the year will be here no
all the
time.
legal people are saying if we hear anything, it'll be next year. It's not going to be this year. It's been in print. It's not going to be this year. We're not going to hear anything.
Oh, boy, I'm going to tell you.
And you know what's really sad? What I find really sad is like the smaller people, like people that we know that have businesses, that have dispensaries and whatnot. They're losing their shirts over this. They are.
As it stands legally, there is no such thing internationally as legal adult use. There is nothing in federal law that
Right.
has such a thing. In rem forfeiture is low hanging fruit for billions of dollars in accounts and assets. Do not think that the thieves won't swoop in on it. This is why smart people are going to get themselves over on to get them lined up, get medicinal advocacy organizations there, and push hard, because there is enough popular sentiment on both sides of the aisle that we could actually get that one across if everyone pushed together. It will not happen any other way, and we will be fucked, and it will go to big pharma.
Yeah, but we got to lower the everybody to 60% or something, because we're never going to get everybody. But I got to tell you what, I think an estimation of half the people that gave any shit at all at least went the same direction, you would get that result. I agree. It is time that it would be wonderful, but it's almost like trying to pick a good president. Who could we, as say advocates, who in the real, who could we unite? Who could we say we're going to do what you ask us to do?
I like the lady Tammy, the senator who has no legs yet takes a more moral and ethical stand than anyone else in the Senate. Tammy Duckworth.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see her as president. I'd like to see Mark Kelly as vice president. Since you asked,
Where's
was
Mark Kelly on cannabis? He seems
doesn't matter.
No,
Doesn't
no. I
matter.
mean, no. I know. Well, I think it does
If
matter.
if he
vice
will stand
president,
for
it
the
doesn't matter.
Constitution,
Pardon me.
As vice
David-
president, it doesn't matter.
as yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's as
Well,
someone who has displayed honor and principle,
Oh yeah, I'm
we
a fan.
need them so
Well,
freaking bad.
Look, to me, he's a hero who knew what to do about. Yeah, you have the obligation to
Yes,
disobey an
an
illegal
illegal order.
Yeah, to do that in every one of the 6, I consider that what a hero is. And, they're going to stand back. Nonetheless, it would be like there's always in my mind that chance because it's a cannabis thing. There's a high and a low. And I'd take Mark Kelly to be somewhere pragmatic down the middle and looking more with the science than the hoopla of anything else. So, yeah,
He seems reasonable, defining that as someone who can be shown the reasons why a particular thing is the best way to go. That's all I ask, is that they be reasonable.
I wish I got more than one vote. If people would actually get out and do the knocking on the doors. I had somebody come door here last year, the year before, and it was interesting because this person was out knocking on doors because they only get one vote. But if they can change or acquire somebody to get their vote, they're getting 2 votes. They're the ones that don't stop with, this is my vote. And they vote. And that's what I do,
Yeah.
And so I appreciate it when people at least make their case. But, to knock on somebody's door, they're better than me. I can't convince people as quickly as somebody might be able to do to that. And then, of course, I told them, nah, I can't do that. But you did real good and whatever, I like people that show the courage or their commitment, even if it's not my issue. I appreciate that.
One of my biggest childhood heroes was a teacher named George Kenneth Fox, who I met when I was 14, and we stayed friends for, I don't know, 7, 8 years, and then drifted apart. But Kenneth went to prison in Safford, Arizona, because he refused to be inducted. He didn't run. He knew the consequences of his actions, and he also felt that it was important that it be heard. And I think that's, those are the ones that we should be looking to.
Yeah, that was an odd time.
Yeah.
We need another Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman.
We need another Bobby Hutton. We need another Stokely Carmichael. We need Leonard not having been in prison for fucking 50 years. Excuse me.
Which one of the 2 Hoffman wrote Steal This Book?
Hoffman.
Abby Hoffman.
Yeah, I want to make sure I got that right because I always thought, what a clever freaking name for a book.
You ever see the picture I did of him that says "Steal This Photograph"?
Oh man. Well,
this is gonna be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
but I think there's going to be just a lot of silence, and there's going to be a lot of echoing going on. As far as healthcare is concerned, healthcare is just going to take a step back and wait. Already now, some of the accrediting agencies, the commissions that many of the hospitals require to have in order to get Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, they're already changing things when it comes to how physicians write orders for different medications. And I'm talking about the medications that are already out there. It's like an antibiotic, for instance. Okay. Yeah. They want a who, what, and why now. They want to really dig deep. Like they're just going to piss them off all the way, and it's going to be interesting. because this is all the preliminary stuff. I've seen nurses online already. They're already saying, "Oh, come on, let's talk about cannabis use disorder," because you know what? Unless this affects anyone personally, and I know you all agree with that, they don't care. They move on to the next best thing. Okay, so what else can I do? What else can I do? In order to keep myself, soluble, and so yeah, so it's difficult getting the masses together, but regionally we can do it. We can.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, who it's going to be? It's going to be a lot of the older folks. Right now I am involved in something right now where we are starting to look for, not that we're starting to look for, we've already found some, but student organizers, because we need the kids out here.
Yeah.
We're all too old. We're all too fucking old. Come on.
Well,
Any
yeah.
protest that you've gone to recently, have you seen a lot of kids out there? No. Is it like when we were kids? No, it's not. It's not. And so this is the same momentum. So we need that younger voice out there. They're the ones that are going to keep voting. They're the ones that are going to cause disruptions, but they're a different generation altogether mentally.
Well, if you
So
can connect with
it's that whole, and Jim, I would love to pull you into this too, because you would be so good if I gave you some student organizers down by you, here, work them,
Yeah,
work with them.
Yeah, I would love to be able to talk to even medium groups of motivated students. Yeah, I mean, they have people come in and talk, but I talk different than the kind of people they
This
have
is what they
come in.
need to listen to. They need to
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
the you, the me, the wolf, the lefty, Johnny. That they need to hear us. They don't need to
yeah.
hear some
Okay.
overly educated, pompous person.
If you haven't looked at my on my Facebook page, I posted that thing where I talked to the students at Lafayette Square Park behind.
Yeah, I did. I saw
Yeah,
it.
I hadn't seen that. I made myself laugh a couple of times. I mean, I laughed not at myself. I laughed with my. It was very schizophrenic experience, but it was like. And I watched it with Kathy, and I said, "Here it comes. Here's where I lose my concentration," because I was on a roll. I was like, "That's the guy I want to be." It was like I was reading a cue card. I had a cadence. It was going good. I was looking left. I was looking right. It was all going. And then I'm like, "Here it is. Here it is. The wheels are wobbling, And then I did this. That's when I realized there's no coming back. I mean, I could actually stop action it, And then it was that I wasn't talking to anybody in particular. And I said something about, and I really tried to, I didn't want to forget anything. And then it was the way I even watched myself and went like, "Oh, this is pretty good though." I mean, it was under my breath. "Oh, this is pretty good though." Meaning I'd been there and subject to here, smoke some of this, here, smoke some of this, here, smoke some. Okay, now I'm talking. And me being the older person who was then self-depreciating about, we could have got this shit done, It was fun because I could feel them. They were all leaning in. And that's when I dealt with the 800-pound elephant then, that the MPP and Normal weren't working together. And God damn it, we're all going the same way. And it's my hope that the students here can bridge that gap, because we need to get there together, whatever. And I didn't mention them by name because they
Were you working with SSP?
What's that?
Were you working
Families
with
for Sons of
SSP?
No. I was asked to come there by Eric Sterling, who is still probably their main advisor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew Eric Sterling was our expert of location and all when Cheryl and I got arrested in Rogan's office, like which office and how we'd get there. He was the one planning it all. So we went through a time together. Oh, by the way, the man can dance wicked in a mosh pit if he was in one too. I just got to say, you wouldn't know that otherwise. Yeah, it was. They were really like leaning in, and then that made it. there was nice because Students for Sensible Drug Policy was also where Cheryl's last public thing at the in Rhode Island of all things. This is not an easy trip. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
be on the turnpike and trying to give somebody a sip of a cup with a straw where you're moving. It's like I just don't want it to go up her nose in a bump. You know, I mean, it was like to do all that. It was in dealing with pain and stretching and all. But anyway, it really captured some of the students then, you know, and some have gone on to be like permanently involved, you know. So see again, yeah, I forgot why I was even leading that way. It doesn't matter, you know.
We're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about students. No, you were on
Yeah,
a roll.
it was, but that's what works. I went to Ithaca, where Evan Nissan asked me to come there when he was a student. So I made my way there and then went with him afterwards to smoke with him somewhere. And then I'm heading back at 10 o'clock at night. I got a really long drive, you know, and it was all worth it though, because, you know, if you can get just the right one person, like, you know, if we want to get students more involved, got to be able to get the ones that are already involved to take that, you know, and yeah,
Each one teach one.
yeah, it's sometimes some people get it that to have been involved for as long. I mean, geez, Wolf, your longevity would be like, oh, my grandparents were born then, or some shit like that, you know. But you know, when I can say, you know, I guess my actual if I went back to the first time I got a letter, I got correspondence with a congressman about this in Cheryl and medical cannabis was a third of a century ago. So if I want to sound old, you know, well, that was in August 26, 1991. 1990. I almost can't say it. You know, it's like, holy crap.
It's your
It's longer,
35th
but that was,
anniversary.
no, that was 35 years ago when I pushed Cheryl's wheelchair across the state. That was with a sign on it. With, you know, that was a third of a century ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Me walking out to the mailbox and back is a freaking event now. Anyway, I got to tell you, by the way, we're all looking forward to you being here because it is such an easy gig hanging out with you and learning stuff. And then really great to, you know, I looked forward to seeing the converging points of view that you and Sue have on the what's going on. Because like I was saying, I get my information pretty much. I don't look into it myself so much, but I think about what they're saying, everybody's saying. And like I say, wow, how do you look at it? How much good it can do compared to how much risk it would be for other things. And it's such a weighty thing. I can only give it so much time, you know? Yeah. Like you were saying before, how it makes you feel. Yeah, dude, I stopped right before then, man. I really do, you know? I feel that urge coming and, you know, I'll try to head that shit off, man.
It's going to get really bright at my end for a minute here.
Look at that. Wolf is on the move.
Well,
The wolf is on the move. Should I speak into my collar when I say that, you know? Oh, man.
let's see.
Green team, go.
I'm having fun. There you go.
Can you see what's there?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. You can describe it a little better so I can confirm what I'm seeing.
Okay, this is a bunch. This is a bunch of new babies.
Yeah, I see that.
Yes, and
What are their
normally
names?
what I do is I start them in. I'm saying they're let's see over there the green tagged ones. A that was the 24 seeds, and then these two are Veaputri B, the two that made it of the 20 seed. Then oh, I don't know, did I disappear? Sounding strange.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I think I lost you. Okay.
We can hear you.
Then there's a whole bunch of black. Oh, okay. There's a whole bunch of blackberry. Let's see, black lot. It's black strawberry preserve, which is black lime reserve cross bogs strawberry bogs sour strawberry. That's it. Yeah, and it's the black lime reserve is one that I love. Everything I've ever smoked that had black lime reserve in it has been excellent. It's one of the three or four that I think improve or at least go well with everything that they get bred with. G13 is one. Black lime reserve is one. Um, G13 black lime reserve sour diesel and Northern Lights 5, I've seen a lot of stuff that has been supposedly some of that, and it wasn't all that great. So I know that the real Northern Lights 5 was wonderful. But and this the grandma's peach pie has been really really fun. I've been smoking it. What became the mother side of the Vea Putri is the grandma's peach pie, and I've been smoking it since I got it in 23. So yeah.
Which Northern Lights were you referring to? Northern Lights 501? What did you say?
Take your pick. I pretty much have some.
What year were they? What year were we going
I
back?
had some of each back in 85, or no, excuse me, 86, and I've got I've got pretty much three or four lineages of everything that's still around from fairly reputable people. Greg gave me some,
Wow.
and let's see, Jaime Chiba gave me some. Some friends in Europe gave me some. Some people up in Canada. So I've got, I'm one of. Oh, that's the project I haven't talked about. Can I rant for about 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you'll make it.
It occurred to me with my literally thousands of seeds, a couple thousand seeds sitting around, that I was contributing to something I don't approve of, which is the narrowing of a genetic bottleneck. Our genomes are getting less and less widely spread because of collectors. And now I was given these seeds by people who loved me, or I bought them because I was sure I was about to begin an important commercial venture, and by golly, these were just what I needed, or just because I loved how they were described. And so now I got thousands of them, and I'm sitting here, I'm 70 years old. If I started 50 seeds a year, it would take 40 years for me to start what I've got on hand. Now, they have been exposed occasionally to horrible storage conditions, so not everything makes it. I'm sad to say that the Cambodian Thai cross Brotherhood of Eternal Love skunk did not make it. I was very disappointed about that. On the other hand, the 88 G13 cross hash plant, the pure form, two of them made it. So what I'm going to do is hopefully one will be male, one will be female, in which case I'll take a cutting off the female to self her back to the female, but I'll also use the male and take him to her so that I'll have three lines or three crossings out of that to work with. And hopefully, I know enough people, someone else will probably also has it, that people who it's tough in cannabis. You have to rely on what people tell you they have, and they may believe they have something that isn't what they've told you. And, I mean, Philo's kind of ruined it for faith in people just caring about the science of it. The Legacy Project in Humboldt's doing pretty well. I don't know. There's people back there. You were talking about Ithaca earlier, I think. That was one of the places back in the 60s, and beatnik days. So there should be some things floating around there. Someone sitting with the most desirable relic in their pocket that should be saved. And the only way we can do that is if everyone that loves that is willing to put in a few hours a week will grow some cannabis instead of. I mean, obviously, you guys can't do that because, and I would not ever recommend that anyone break any law whatsoever, even though it would probably save someone's life and they have a moral duty to do so. I still cannot legally recommend that you do anything illegal. But
we consider that you haven't done that.
thank you.
You know,
Sure.
one more thing you were talking about, I find that interesting to be passing this lineage down in the hands of somebody who cares. But I guess in my free thinking form of mind and my state of mind at this particular moment, the first thing I thought of is it's a good point for everybody doing that to have a wingman, because as we get into our 70s, and I'm going to be 74, if I were working on something that takes more than a couple of years, I need a wingman to hand the ball off to. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want it to hit the ground with me. And then that wingman would have to find himself a wingman too to keep.
I have a couple of guys that are the sons I wish I'd had.
Oh, there you go. Wingman.
One of them is actually one of the 6 people I would think that I could actually accurately describe as a master grower. I regard myself as an advanced journeyman, cannabiculturist. So
that's pretty good.
That's pretty much what my title is: advanced journeyman cannabiculturist and advocate. And I'm comfortable with that. But these 2 guys, one's named Jeremy, and the other one is named Robert, and they live up to something that my wife said, and that is that cannabis should be, or excuse me, I'll use her exact words. Ganja should be grown by people who love her. It's not celery, you know. And and I think that sums it up to the point where it is the motto, or will be the motto, for the unique cannabis company. If that should happen to be what ends up happening.
Oh my.
Okay, here's today's update. Today's update is Department of Justice issued it's a nothing update. A final order to reclassify state legal medical cannabis to Schedule 3, though a broader timeline for total rescheduling and adult use remains under review.
Under review, at least they're working on it.
In other words, this is the time that all of the medical advocacy groups have to push for it to be, as our beloved president, beloved leader, said.
Well, you know, at least Lefty, we're doing the first monthly 4th Thursday of the month podcast live from the State House, right out in front of the State House in New Jersey. And that is a yes, everybody gets to smoke freely, you know, and it's kind of like it should be, you know. Somewhat, I don't want to say abused, somewhat well used at some podcasts more than others. But I'm hopeful that this year, at least we have more advanced interest in that which we need to get everybody involved with that we can. And to do that, you know, we need to start adding things to the mix, you know. I mean, to have a bill not being allowed to be heard for an initial hearing for over 5 years, that's on us somewhat, you know. Can't be like,
have you filed a petition for writ of mandamus forcing whichever is the relevant committees to move it forward? Because by failing to do that, they are denying those who have backed it year after year the opportunity to exercise their federally protected First Amendment rights.
Yeah, you know, I wish I could go. I hadn't thought of that. I'll give it a try. I'm not the one that's capable, but if there was a way you could convince somebody else here in New Jersey that this is a good idea, it's just like above my pay grade as well. it would be nice to do that, and it's a win either way. You get turned down, you tried it, it didn't become a self-fulfilling prophecy by going, it'll never work, nobody tries it. That's bullshit, you know. So I really would love it if somebody that understands would say, here's what I think, and be more involved in that. And what's the shortest version? Because I'm going to ask, what would I ask somebody?
The shortest version is you want the courts to order the politicians on the relevant committees to no longer bind it in committee, that they have to move it forward. It's you know, it's been persistent enough that it is clearly the will of a significant portion of the citizens of the state of New Jersey. I mean, you know, it has to be someone relatively articulate, but I mean,
yeah, but
some hungry law student that wants to go down in the books as the guy who got it done.
All states operate differently on how they go about things, and I can't be like real specific.
Federally,
but the state president
federally, you sue whoever you sue whoever it is for violating your rights under Title 42, 1983. Federally, because they're denying you under your civil rights under color of state law.
Well, they're also it's within the Senate president's ability to not allow a vote to be heard, even. You know, in other words, like, we're just trying to get the bill heard and let nature take its course with relevant information, haven't been introduced. I get to step back then and hope more sensible heads that can help make it move. But focusing on a log jam one man could create that has so many dynamics behind closed doors, lack of transparency, hasn't been cornered into answering anybody's questions about this from any organizations, any advocacy organizations, advocates. It's embarrassing, you know, and it's like an impossible juggling act that I've never seen. And, you know, at least to that extent, I can pretty well guarantee it's not going to be business as usual this year. I could guarantee that. If there was betting odds on that, I could make a bet and then make it come true and win money, much like our president does.
I guarantee.
Okay, so the research that was done today, let me see, where is it? The American Psychiatric Association annual meeting. They have that in San Francisco today. So they presented a literature review raising concerns about how these policy changes that we are talking about right now are associated with potential mental health risks related to psychosis. And it says, let's see, blah, blah, blah. There's a mixed result regarding the correlation between cannabis policies and psychosis. So the evidence on the impact on psychosis is to identify critical research gaps and future directions. So again, they're doing the opposition research, which everybody does.
Well, you know, it just seems like sometimes real research, whether it be for an opposite point of view or not, if it's actual real research, it might show what you didn't want it to show, you know, once you get that going. At least in the beginning, people were getting all sorts of surprises about it. Showed what? Holy crap, you know, because nobody even thought it actually was, well, it had medical value. So, you know, along those lines, the idea that getting out of Schedule 1, almost no matter where it lands, it does increase the amount of testing able to be done, as far as I can tell. But even that probably comes with a caveat.
We don't have I'm sorry, Sue, go ahead.
There's 33 studies going on right now in San Francisco related to this. But you know what they're doing? They're using, I see what they're doing. They're using, you know, individuals that come into the ER, you know, that probably smoke too much, or maybe they're psychotic anyway. And they're diagnosing that as a psychosis spectrum disorder. So that's a problem. That's why the research needs to be, you know, solid. It needs to be the you and me people.
Yeah, well, would that be easy? That would be easier to accomplish, at least with it being out of Schedule One.
The type of research collaborative I mentioned earlier
Mm.
is what allows the equivalent of dispensaries as sample distribution points for patients, and the information that comes in as it builds up into the relation database actually allows effectively a recommendation of, for this person, this is where they find relief. And that includes mental disorders. There are people, quite a few people actually, maybe even most people that use cannabis are self-treating undiagnosed cases of social anxiety disorder.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what kind of crosses over into that is and I think this is kind of a bit of a detriment. You know, they keep doing a lot of attention towards the psychedelics, and my opinion on that is I think that's a dangerous path to go down. I think, you know, how about, you know, yes, keep cannabis separate. I totally agree with that. But the psychedelics, you know, we're talking about chemistry. We're not talking about plants. So the push with the psychedelics then supports what big pharma wants to accomplish, and that is just to, you know, continue to fill their buckets.
Big Pharma
What do you
has a
think?
ways to go till the people that have been seriously mycologists in a positive way for a long time, they're going to have to go quite a ways to reach those people. But, you know, the idea of cannabis-induced psychosis, everything makes someone crazy. Most of the drugs they advertise on TV have as one of their symptoms death. For me, if I have a brother, sister, son, daughter, I would much rather they be psychotic than dead. Just me, you know? And if they're willing to allow those things, then my right to equal protection under the law, either as a producer or as a consumer, demands that they back off. There's been way the hell too much nanny state, and nanny state bad, not nanny state good. There's some bad nanny. Let me rephrase this, because nanny state gets mistaken. I don't want the government telling me what I can put in my own body.
I agree.
That's very
it.
basic. It's my body. If I want to poison myself, as long as I'm not doing it driving down the freeway where there's a strong possibility of hurting someone else, not their problem.
Yeah, it's you know, can we do like a common sense approach with this? You know, can everybody like agree on at least that? You know?
I mean, and that's, if we can agree. For instance, I mean, obviously, I like the idea of the states having regulation, because I think that with the states having regulation, we can probably get something very similar to ASA's Schedule 6 passed, as this is how the federal government is interpreting Schedule 3 as regards cannabis. And they just put that into law, that you enact it, you amend existing Controlled Substance Act as regards cannabis, so that's how it reads, and there it is.
Oop, there it is.
Okay, so I hear you saying Schedule 6, and I also hear you saying the individual states, you know, state regulated, and I agree with that too. However, since Schedule 6 doesn't really exist
yet,
okay, is that going to be two completely different, you know, contrasts with individual state laws or proposed federal reform advocacy? You know, like, what does that mean?
Okay, if we go by what Trump said, then the states and the advocate and the medicinal cannabis advocacy groups have to get on board with what they want that to look like, and they have to understand that there's strong legal precedent out of the First Circuit that says that just calling it medicinal isn't good enough. It actually has to have been, you know, part of the state's medicinal cannabis regime, and calling it adult use clearly defines it as something else. Regulating it as something separately clearly defines it as something else. But if it's not actually medical, then it but within medicinal, we can have damn near universal access. And if the states can get together and go, yeah, this is what we would like federal medicinal Schedule 3 to look like, because we already have the ability to do this, it will cause the least disruption. And we're going to include this research collaborative because it enables the necessary research to be done as quickly as we are saying we want Schedule 3 for.
If we
Okay,
can
so
get,
well, so say okay, hypothetically, we had
Hypothetically, of course.
because it is hypothetically.
Yeah.
Say we had a
I
federal
wanna vote.
Schedule 6. Say we had that come to be, okay,
Right.
right? And the DOJ and the DEA or whoever the hell holds the controls, hands all the regulatory controls over to the individual states, right?
Already there.
Because
They're trying to take them away. Trump
Okay.
said, don't do
So-
that. All you can
okay,
what-
I don't care what Trump says because Trump says a lot of shit. I
Yeah.
don't care.
But this is the one
He-
time
he
we
does-
need to support what he's
he
saying.
forgets what he says. He says a lot of things.
So do I.
But what that would do, right? That
Right.
would still allow the university researchers to legal to study locally available cannabinoids. No,
Locally available
Yes.
cannabis in its plant state, as getting it from vendors who are contractors
Right.
to them under their DEA 225 licenses to manufacture for research purposes.
Mhm. Okay. So
Booth likes this. I mean, I know this for a fact, not hypothetically.
well, my problem still remains around getting states or organizations to agree to something.
Yes.
You know, that is like, you know, got to crack that code. I
Yeah,
never,
that
I
takes
never had-
everyone.
you know, but I did visit this. I think we talked about it maybe with Sue on this before. There's the old Associations of Reform Organizations list for like a what would be a long chat group now. I mean, this is like 25 years ago, where you know
The
someone.
nurses, the cannabis
Yeah,
clinicians, the research.
yeah, there was like two people from each organization, and then there was people like Kevin Zeese and others. I'm just going to forget all the old names that would monitor it. And it was a pretty legitimate thing where I could, from Ethan Nadelman to okay, never mind. I'm just going to start forgetting. You know, if I were accepting an award, I'd be getting the music right now. I floated the idea that we all had similar concerns, or that we could at least agree with, and nobody was getting anywhere. So I thought, if everybody divided like 12 groups, and each month everybody focused on one thing for the month to really jumpstart it.
Right.
You don't forget that, but you do 50% of everything for this, maybe 50% of your own thing, but to really crash an issue, you know, with everybody involved, even if you have no suggestions. And I laid it out, and a guy, Doug Green, wrote back to me. That's when he explained the dogs and cats thing. He says, we're more like cats. We're never going to go the same way. We're just not. We're not built that way. And he's been proven right, not proven, demonstrated to be right by everything that's followed. And I think we are getting a little better, because we have a lot more to get behind. Back then, we didn't have all the actual information and real science and things that we do have now. So we have more of an advantage to go together now. have my doubts that that's going to happen, because somebody needs to really make it their point, their mission, their existential.
Okay. If
And
if the medical cannabis advocacy groups do not get their shit together and get what's happening right now on track, they won't have an existence, because it will be gone, irrevocably lost to corporate cannabis.
I
That's the
agree.
message. That's the message that all of us need to be giving our various contacts and letting them know, hey, as loathsome as it is, look at the guy's words. This is the one freaking time when, I cannot
Hey, don't take it
emphasize
easy.
it any more strongly that this is the hill we have to stand on, or we will lose completely. We are
Okay, so
on the
Wolf,
edge of fascism. We are on the edge. If
We need a leader. We need a leader.
find
So
someone
Wolf,
young and
Wolf,
energetic and smart.
what
Okay,
is
that narrows the field down considerably.
I got
Personally,
half
I
a
like
liter.
Tammy Duckworth. If we're talking about pot, I guarantee there's people out there that are young and articulate that argue better than we can, or better than I can, anyways.
If it happens to somebody in their family where it becomes a life-changing event for them, that's when things seem to happen like that. And
Yeah.
that's a conundrum, to wish for somebody to undergo something that would, I guess I can kind of relate. It changes a direction, but that's beyond us to do anything. You can hope. Hope doesn't matter. And I don't care what a person hopes for, because it doesn't change it. It's not a vote. It doesn't have any status at all. So I think people should be able to say what they hope for, whether it's popular or not. It doesn't matter.
Excuse me a minute.
Okay. Moment of silence.
After these
for the still sick and
messages,
suffering inside and outside of the rooms of AA?
You're back. I'm sorry.
I know that pretty good, don't I?
Okay, now I'm confused. You gotta go down.
Jim, what's the difference between Schedule 3 and Schedule 6? Do you know?
There it is. I feel like I missed something now. Okay, I think I might have missed something while I was muted. I'm not muted now.
Okay. I asked you, do you know what the difference is between Schedule 3 versus proposed Schedule 6?
Oh, I have no idea what Schedule 6 is all about.
Okay. You know what the only difference is, really? It's really just the regulatory power. So Schedule 3, is federal, right?
Right.
And Schedule 6, since there really isn't a real Schedule 6, that would still remain within the states.
So
Okay.
Schedule 6 remains in the states, but what if it comes in opposition to schedule? What would it be federally then? I mean, would it? In other words, I don't understand if
It's just who holds
Federal
the
states.
regulation? Who holds the regulation? Does the
Yeah.
state hold it, or do the feds?
Well, the feds always trump states if they disagree. That's the way it works. Like
Okay.
So if
But the feds would not hold any regulation power for Schedule 6. That's what the proposal is when people talk about Schedule 6.
That's where it seems like that's diametrically opposed to the federal government and having power in a clash of equal proportions. I don't know how you freaking put it, except for that it can stop a state from, I'd love to be wrong about that and say, so basically if we got it to Schedule 6, they'd be like, holy shit, we can't say chuck all about it. You know, that'd be cool. And
Mhm. Right.
you know, it's it I don't know. I can't, I'm jaded, I suppose. I can't see that
My
happening.
opinion, you know what my opinion is. I think Schedule 3 is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody just keeps missing the words.
Yeah,
Um,
but compared to schedule 2, 4, 5, or 6, or what? How about compared to schedule?
Don't compare it at all because they mix and match in each schedule. Okay. If you read what's here, let me see if I can look up what's a Schedule 3.
Where's he at?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold
What?
on. Schedule 3, you know, there's antibiotics in Schedule 3. Let me see. Schedule 3 drugs. Is
I'd like to also think that anything is better than Schedule 1 unless there was a caveat that said it can only be moved once in the next 10 years. Okay.
okay. So Schedule 3 are opioids. Okay.
Mhm.
Ketamine, hormones, steroids, testosterone, and then FDA approved products.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Sounds,
it.
yeah, it sounds kind of benign. I mean, on the
Right?
surface. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, we're putting cannabis in the same category as ketamine, which I disagree with. I personally disagree with for
Yeah.
for professional reasons on my part.
Yeah, but it's better than being in the schedule of heroin and you know, and whatever else is Schedule 1. Now, what is Schedule 1? Besides, I mean, you know,
Schedule
it's
one is, I think it's like LSD, cannabis. Let me see.
yeah. So it's more like ketamine than LSD. You know, I guess if it were in Schedule 3, it wouldn't be Schedule 1 at least. You know, and
Wait, I'll tell you in a
it's
second. What's
not
Schedule one?
it's not a permanent stop. It's sort of like when the sky doesn't fall if it functioned as Schedule 3. And the sky doesn't fall, then we say, see, you were wrong
Okay.
about this. You're also wrong about schedule, and then pick one we want.
Okay, so Schedule 1 is ecstasy, heroin, LSD, cannabis, PCP. Schedule 3 is what I told you before.
Yeah.
It sounds like pick one that's not an animal, you know,
Right.
and the list
Right.
goes and rock.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just stands out. And so to me, it's not only the easiest one to get out of Schedule 1, it's also the easiest one to get out and have it use Schedule 3 as a springboard to something better that if it can't get there all at once, again, how do you say, what are the odds or what's the midway guess of how long it would be before it would move again? And you know, you can't use logic like, well, it took 50 years for the first move. What do we hope for? 25 for the next? No, more like a
100.
yeah, right. More like a diving board. But yet again, if it went to Schedule 3 a year later, you could look at the good, look at the bad, and say that should have happened a decade ago. You know, I mean, basically, the facts that'll be hard to argue for other people when it's a year from now. It'll be like, wow. And Schedule 3, I would assume, means that banking can be done with cannabis businesses using normal banking routes.
Yeah,
you know?
it takes that 280. They can claim. Yeah, they can claim their
It might be
expenses.
more also Medicaid approvable, easier, and then could lead to insurance as well, perhaps.
Not
I don't know.
necessarily.
No,
Not
not
necessarily.
necessarily. No, none of this is actually necessarily in my mind. You know, I'm never surprised at well, I mean, like so many people were surprised. What do you mean we can't home grow? I voted for it. okay, I wasn't them, but I understand it, but I'm kind of immune to that because, I'm aware of what's coming up and creeping up, and I don't take anything for sure. And I usually want to have plan B, C, and D at least, in my mind before I even start to relax with something important,
Yeah.
So and
Okay, did we lose Wolf?
I think
it
so.
appears so.
Dude, that was a really long pee.
Yeah.
Is that what he did? He went to pee? Yeah, that's a very long pee.
Maybe he forgot he was on the podcast.
Maybe he's got some prostate difficulties.
Yeah, I appreciate him spending the time, and hanging out with us and just being himself. That's always you can't miss when that's going to be it going in.
Mhm.
And I liked it. It's fun. I don't know. He has an interesting way of expressing himself. Where although I can only understand about 17%, that's like 1/7, I think.
Yeah, I know. I know, because he's wicked smart and wicked crazy. He's wicked crazy smart.
But I understand what he's saying without being able to repeat it. The first time it goes by me, I get it. And sometimes I see Jonny laughing at the same time as me, and I figure, well, I'm on somebody else's wavelength, I mean, something he does that's almost benign, but it really, was good. So, there's like two good Thursdays in a row, and can't lose. It's already that well in the book, So, and then the first podcast of the Fourth Thursday thing. And
When's that? Next week, right?
Yeah.
Next week.
And fair warning, I mean, I can at least say that I'm gonna end up having likely a disclaimer sign that I have to actually put up when I'm talking about Jim and I'm not from CMMMJ. Hey, he's back.
All righty.
Okay, we're gonna stop talking about it now. He's here.
Oh,
And Jim,
okay.
and Jim, make sure your mom puts your dues money in an envelope and pins it to your.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. You know what? Yeah, no, because I missed last month. I had I was there the whole time and didn't think.
I know.
And it's not like, oh, here, Jim, mail the check to this address. Boom, problem freaking solved. That's pulling teeth, though. It's like, I don't know if I can get you an address to mail a check to. Huh?
I'll send a postcard and staple it.
Yeah. You say something about Venmo, and I'm thinking that's like one of the Avengers or something, No, it's Venom. I'm sorry.
I kind of want to jump back because I kept trying to get in and I was off. I picked up a call from my wife and dropped this. So, but the other side of Schedule 3 being accepted, just blindly as the DEA is overreaching for it to be, is it could end up being we're stuck there for 50 more years.
Yeah,
Right.
And that's not unrealistic.
No.
No, it's very real.
And this whole legalization of hemp thing, without it ever getting really off the ground industrially here in the United States,
We were talking
set
about
back the cannabis movement.
You're on the same wavelength when you weren't here. We were talking. Yeah, no, I mean, I brought that. I said that was we were talking about how do you begin to calculate what the next step would take. Okay, 50 years for the first one, maybe 25 for the second. That was the joke while you were gone.
Oh,
But or maybe 100.
But if we organize properly, even though it's herding cats, right? It's still a matter of absolute existential necessity.
Yeah.
That we get it to stay. I won't even mention him. I'll just talk about the fact that, as discussed in the order, it says state regulation. It describes what it describes is what we need, and the form it needs to take is a Schedule 3 for cannabis that by federal law looks almost exactly like what ASA proposed as Schedule 6 with very, very slight modifications. So it's still, in order to be compliant internationally, it has to be the federal government. That's the reason why they get to dip their beak in the money, why they get to buy it and sell it back. Okay, that's built in because that meets that requirement within international law as they're interpreting it. But they do in his orders say that it's going to be state regulated. That this current, it's not going to be under, but yes, under federal supervision. So it's not what Jim is talking about, what Lefty's talking about with the creation of a positive conflict between state and federal law, such that the two cannot consistently stand together, which is the language that you find in CSA Section 903 and in most states' medicinal cannabis laws or their adult use laws. They all say, oh, no, this should not be interpreted as meaning it creates this.
I got to ask you, existential necessity. Why do you use that phrase?
Because if it goes to big cannabis, corporate, to big pharma, we will never regain it.
No, I get it, but why?
The vested interest that allows
Do you use that
is
phrase?
unthinkable.
That's become my catchphrase over the last couple of days, and I guess I posted a couple times on, I think, on Facebook or comments.
I might have picked it up there.
The reason is that if it's not ever been a matter of existential necessity to somebody, they can't understand that any more than a non-veteran, soldier can understand what combat might be like. Like anybody that's never had a child can't understand what that might be like. It's sort of like existential necessity existed in my freaking life. I know what it feels like. It scared the fuck out of me, and I'm not that scared now. So it's less existential, and I feel horrible for that. But for the people that it is, they get it, and people aren't feeling it at that level. But
which they need to understand it really is.
They have to have somebody die in their family, and they get it.
If Schedule 3 takes the DEA's overreach and adopts that DEA overreach as applying to cannabis, then medicinal cannabis is, as an existing thing, basically dead.
Yeah.
Then they get to swoop in not just on adult use, because they will swoop in on adult use. That's probably going to happen after the election, but it's billions of dollars of easy to seize in rem forfeitures.
Yeah, but here it is an existential threat to cannabis patients that would grow their own for financial or health reasons, that if they don't, their way of life cease to exist for them and their family, for a whole group, all those people. That's a group of people, a group that would lose their way of life itself for some. So they get it. Now, this is where those patients need to be identified and given a chance to act on it. In other words, it's that story of why it's an existential threat to their freaking family. It's not real to people. And that's what I spent decades trying to make real for people, and had some goddamn success in my own freaking peril, but that's what needs to happen. Where are they? Where I don't know where the people are. I don't know where Diane Repatella's husband Joe is. I don't know where. I don't get it. And I'm not the one that's ever going to be able to say, hey, I need the people who are suffering most up front. Okay, can you cry in public? You really, that's basically what would work. And I'm not adverse to trying to at least represent them more. I mean, I do write letters for people.
I mean, there's being a Puritan descended culture, we always like we as a culture and society kind of like a strict father figure, a Fuhrer, if you will, coming in. I know how offensive that term is, but the strong disciplinarian authority figure has carried a lot of weight in this society. So coming in and saying these people need to stop forcing people to suffer. We have to put we have to show that we are in fact the moral high ground and make the other side.
We have to be a little more, I don't want to say in your face, but I mean, we have to be a little more aware we are and our concerns are visible, i.e. walking across the state with a wheelchair to get attention, to yank the media's chain, to show up to see blisters on my feet. I mean, how blisters on a foot would be interesting compared to how cannabis could save somebody's life like Cheryl, but that's where the chain was to be yanked, and I yanked it with like proficiency and utmost success, and honestly, we just need somebody to yank that chain. That's all.
We need to do a mass movement, and I think that's what Wolf was talking about, and it's got to be a mass movement. It's not going to be the Jim Miller goes to Trenton with Lefty and Sue goes to wherever Sue goes, because
Okay, Alex Preddy, focal point. What's our focal point in New Jersey? I mean, where is it? We don't have a focal point. We don't have a Jeff Oakes out there anymore,
yeah.
But there is
but you know what? It
person.
starts easy. It could start really easy if, like, you think you put some thought into it. We have there's a war going on, right? There are wars. Okay, start with the wars. People get attracted to that stuff. Start with the draft is going to be reimposed. Start with that shit. Get people motivated. And then we could make our move. But it's work. It's a lot of work, and it's going to all these different organizations and associations and off the grid groups like I like to go to, and get people motivated, get people out there. The No Kings rally is all well and good because he's not going to live forever. Okay. So
I'm thinking way more focused at the point of contention for me, the blockade. All the rest, that's when I'm going to go, let's get all together, everybody. But until that freaking blockade is fractured, at least, I have no right to think beyond that. I really don't. I mean, everything I'm putting into it isn't enough, and I'm like Bruce Banner, I get Bruce Banner. See, Jim Miller is my alter ego. That's Jim Miller, small M and no space in between. Jim Miller, Jim Miller, Jim Miller. He's a bold and adventurous man instead of Daniel Bowie back in the day, But Jim Miller, Jim Miller, Jim Miller, everything everybody thought his superpower was, it was because he was fucking scared. That scared is the motivator beyond anything. I mean, even beyond love. Scared. That's it. And I was scared. And all I had to do was to come up with new shit to do and do it. Now, Cheryl had nothing to lose. Okay, that sounds good. And I'd have to be the one to say, we really could do it. I mean, we could, and then do it. But I'm not scared. I haven't been scared like that in a long time. So it's sort of like Bruce Banner didn't just go, let me hit my hand with a hammer. That'll piss me off and I'll be the Hulk. Oh, fuck, I just hurt my hand. I'm still Bruce Banner. I mean, he couldn't become the Hulk until it was life and death or something. So it's sort of like there's got to be some metaphor off in 90 degrees that I could latch onto. And I think I am. I think I'm becoming more focused, clearer, and a little less, basically, I guess I've been scared of doing what's right as opposed to scared of not
let's
doing
just do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
it's got to, let's just do it.
I'm lining up the ducks. It takes what it takes,
Okay.
but yeah, it's getting more. What do you call it? It's getting more stage 4. Oh, that was good. That was
really good.
Oh.
All right, guys.
Whoa.
You know what? It's after 9 o'clock.
DEFCON 5, right? Yeah. Stage 4 is medical. DEFCON 5. It's stage 4.
Okay. It's after 9 o'clock, so I'm signing off.
Oh no.
All right.
I think we automatically must have been signed off, you know?
I think we were too. I don't see any Lefty and I don't see Wolf anymore either.
If this costs money, like per hour, we could like hang out and all. No, but it's free. So anyway, I,
Uh,
I motion that we're all done. It was great with
Okay.
Walt. I had a
Yeah,
great
well-
time. It was actually pertinent and beneficial. And yeah, I
And
feel
Johnny, I'm glad you got to see him.
Yeah, man.
what'd you think? You know,
It was
Johnny, what do you
good.
think? You
It's
know,
always good to have on.
yeah, I like somebody that
You've
has
seen him once before, haven't you? Yeah, he was
couple
because he was
times.
on.
I
Yeah.
gravitate towards eccentricity. I really do. I mean, it makes me look good.
And he's
Normal.
yeah, and he is eccentric.
I look mainstream, man. You know, May. What about him?
He's good, but you know what? There's a lot of good people out that way, you know, and that's why I keep
Sure,
like,
yeah.
pulling from there, because
That's some West Coast thinking.
yeah, because they, like the song says, they got the guns, we got the numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Anyway, all right, let's talk more. Okay.
All right. Over and
All
out.
right. Good night.
Good night.
Love you all. Bye.
So long.
We're all going away.
Oh wow, we didn't do the list. I guess I'll do the list.
I'll stay with you.
Johnny will stay. Sorry, my computer died. I lost my computer. It died. So it's just me and you, Johnny.
Yeah, man.
John, you got a bell? Can you do the
Um,
bell? I have a bell, but it's not as good as yours.
Yeah, I got a bell.
Okay, Mad Hatter. Ding. Make it louder. I said Mad Hatter. What? Hey, we got to laugh, right?
Someone's got it.
Someone's got to laugh. Might as well be me, right?
Because they aren't.
They're not. They lost $3 million. I have to go there and get the rest of my stuff, store it in a place I have no place to store, with no money that I have to move it with. I may be calling upon you, my friend, for some muscle work. I'll even pay you. And what? I don't know. Some kind of barter system. I don't know anymore, bro.
Gotta sell shirts.
Yeah. The shirts look good, actually. They're really cool. Got your shirt. What size are you?
I don't know. I'm between an XL and a 2XL.
I'm probably down to a XL now. Getting skinnier. I like it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Okay. Ready for the bell? Let me hear the bell. Okay. Mad Hatter. Okay, no. I want to thank CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and SativaCross.org. You can donate to SativaCross.org by going to the page where it says donate and click $1 million.
Be donating.
Kids, go into your parents' computer. Kids, go on your parents' computer, all right? Hopefully they have a password in there or a wallet, and just give Sativa Cross a shitload of money. Your parents will never know. Just go for it. I think Soupy Sales did that shit and he got in trouble for that, right? Remember that? Like 40 years ago? He said, go into your parents' wallet and take $1. And yeah, they all did it and he got in trouble. So don't do that, kids. No, don't do that. I'm winking. Don't do that. This is the fun part of the podcast. All right, you ready for the friggin' list? This is sad.
No.
No, I'm not ready either, bro. Because it's going to get bigger. I don't like when it gets bigger. Well, the list anyway. Cheryl Miller. Sabina. Diane. Gracie. Cindy Mae. Marie. Jack. Joan. Randy. Holly. Bill. Chad. Jeremy. Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne Peters, look him up, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Luanda, Chip, Hall, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, Wayne. Go ahead, hold up the picture. I'll give you a second. Wayne, I know you always do that, so go for it. I missed the hell out of him too. Yeah, there you go. There's Wayne.
His day's coming up next week.
Yeah. Waxy, Joe Marie, Hall, and Jeff Oakes. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, man. Miss them all.
See you next time.
Yeah, man.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
them.
Peace.
Later.
I don't know what that was. That was a peace sign or rock on. I don't know. Do something. Gang sign.